Get ready to tune into stories of average men striving for greatness, to become the leaders that are needed in their homes, in their career, and their communities. This is the Brotherhood of Fatherhood podcast.
Hey, welcome to the show. This is Scott, your host, and today's going to be a little different. I'm coming at you with my guest, myself. So no, we're not going to have a guest today, but I do want to just talk to you about some things that are on my mind recently, some things that I'm doing that I think you'll find interesting and want to follow, as well as some things going on in the world of brotherhood of fatherhood. And man, I just could not be more excited for this phase of the brotherhood and this phase of, quite honestly, what I'm doing. And I really feel like can set a path and inspire other men to do similar things with their kids, because it's been this long journey of learning how to better prepare my own kids for adulthood, for being pillars in the community. So welcome to this episode. Again, I'm Scott Rammage. I'm your host. I'm co-founder of Brotherhood of Fatherhood. And man, if you don't know that by now, you might be new listening. So thank you. I really appreciate that. Man, I don't even know where to start. But first of all, I just kind of wanted to update you guys on a little bit about my life and what's going on, because I think you might find some inspiration. And I want to encourage you, if you do find inspiration or interest in what I'm talking about, I want to encourage you to actually follow along in the journey that I'm going to be taking over the next 6-7 months, probably longer. But we're going to play this out on social media. So I'm really going to encourage you to go follow me on Instagram, Scott Rammage, or Brotherhood of Fatherhood, or both. You're going to get a lot of the same content, but some will have different things than others, as well as Scott Rammage on Facebook. And then also, if you're a guy and you just are craving to live a life of challenge and adventure with your friends, your wife, your kids, yourself, or develop new friends, which I'm really pumped about, then you need to get into the Brotherhood of Fatherhood Facebook group. And we have some exciting things coming up there where, Facebook is Facebook. And quite honestly, I don't love spending every minute of the day in there. And I know you don't either. So we're going to be doing some fun things around that to try and kind of pull away from that area and delve into a new area. So I got some things on that coming up. But first of all, the most exciting thing for me right now is the fact that my son just graduated. He's just turned 18. He graduated. And when we sat down and asked him, hey, like, what now? He had a plan to go to college, and he really just wanted to go to college to see how far he could take his trombone playing. And maybe this will resonate with some of you, maybe it won't, but I really want you to kind of hear out this situation and kind of how we handled it as a family. And maybe it'll give you some inspiration or some ideas as your kids get to this point where they're ready to kind of take their next step in life outside of their formal schooling, or if it's homeschool or whatever. But we're sitting here, and he applied for college. They had 5 spots available for their very, very competitive trombone band that travels the world. And he got into some other colleges, but he really was looking into this particular college. So he applied, he went and he did auditions, he played for them, and he visited the school. And of course he got into the school, but we found out a couple months back that he was actually number 6 out of 5. I believe he was number 6. He was 6 or 7 out of 5 being accepted. And they're like, hey, if somebody doesn't come, then you'll have a spot. But the truth was that trombonists really want to go to this school and be a part of this band. So if they're one of the top 5, they're probably going to get a scholarship, and they're probably going to say yes, because it's very competitive. And so we found out really quickly that all 5 had accepted their offer for that school. And so here's my son, who gets a letter from the school saying, hey, we're really sorry, everybody's accepted. We'd love for you to come, but you can't be in the trombone choir, in the trombone band. So he looks at me and he says, Dad, I don't want to go to college just for college sake. And I kind of had this thing, like, I went to college, I have a master's degree, my wife has a doctorate degree, and we're both kind of like crushed. Not that he doesn't want to go to college, but that he didn't make it into the program. So we said, hey, let's go have dinner together. So we sat down with him, And here's something that he said, which made me realize, gentlemen, I want you to hear this, and mothers and fathers, I want you to hear this. Your kids are listening to you. They are paying attention. If they don't acknowledge it or repeat it or live it out right away, I want to give you hope, because this was really eye-opening for me. Because we had talked at length, and I had talked to him at length about identity and how your identity isn't in the things that you do and the accomplishments that you make. The identity is much deeper than that. And so we're sitting at this dinner table, and I'm like, son, I'm really sorry. And he looked at me and my wife, and he said, you know what, you guys, like, I'm not that upset. I wanted to go there and see how far I could push myself in something, because I've never been super passionate about something. I've never felt like I'd really succeeded in something until I did trombone. And I wanted to see how far I could get. But trombone does not define me. And of course, my heart just like melted. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing. Trombone doesn't define me. And so I'm okay with it. But I want to know, like, what's next? We're like, well, you can go to colleges. You got accepted into, this college, this college, this college. I do not want to go to college for going to college sake. And he said, I know I can learn, get new friends and go through the whole social thing. He's like, but that's just not something I'm interested in right now. And so we sat there at that table and talked, and it came up, this idea of doing an internship for a year. About 2 months earlier, he called me up to his room and he said, Dad, how can I be an entrepreneur like you? How can I own multiple businesses? It seems like you always have people coming to you and have opportunities to build new businesses or partnerships. How do I do that? And I sat down in his room with him, and I remember this so vividly. And I said, well, it's just a lot of hard work and time. Bryson, I'm 48 years old, and these things took a really long time. And I wasn't quite sure how to answer, because he's got a completely different personality in me. And I didn't want to tell him, hey, here's, step A, B, C, D, because that might not be the path for him. So I've been really careful about, whether he goes to college or not. I wanted him to decide what he was doing, but we would be the guide. We'd be like those rails that come up in the bowling alley. I kind of love that analogy as a parent. Like, you're the rails. Let your kids bounce off the edges, but keep them from going into the next lane over. So let your kids bounce off the edges and hit a few pins, hit a lot of pins, whatever it is. You don't know, but just be the rails. Don't be like a super narrow path that's always going to give them the strike, because that strike may not be for them. And so I'm sitting here trying to be those safety rails on the edge. And so I kind of just laid out, hey, it's a lot of hard work. Entrepreneurship is lonely. It's exciting. It's depressing. It's all these things wrapped into one. It's very difficult, and it takes a lot of work. And sometimes businesses fail. Sometimes they hit. And I said, really, the bottom line is do you have something that gives people value? Is there something you can offer that solves a problem for people? So I want you to really be thinking about that. So that conversation really stuck with me. And as we're sitting there at dinner talking about the disappointments, or our disappointment, him not being able to go into this program because we knew it was something he was really striving for. And then he says this thing like, the trombone doesn't define me. I wanted to see where I landed. I wanted to see where I stood in this world. And I found out. He says, I'm never going to stop playing the trombone, but this isn't the path for me right now. I was going to get a music performance degree. There was nothing I was really going to do in that. So, guys, it's over. That's done. That's okay. I'm okay. And, when he said that, a different gear changed in my head, and I could tell a different gear changed in my wife's head. And she said, hey, what if you just worked with your dad in his business? And what if you just traveled around the United States visiting his friends who have small businesses, and learned everything you could about what it's like to own a business, the inner workings, the processes, the people, the ideas, the different ways to approach it. And guys, I kid you not, Bryson's face like glue. It glowed, I guess is the word. It was just glowing, and he was trying not to smile, but you could tell he was elated with the idea. And it didn't, that conversation just took off. And before the evening was done, we had a plan in place. And that plan was Bryson would work with me in my office, learning the ins and out of social media, podcasting, my other business, personnel services, and would just learn and absorb. And we'd teach him on marketing, sales, operations, quarterly planning, all of the things for maybe up to a year. And Kim and I, my wife and I, decided, hey, we're going to pay you X amount, which is a really low amount per month to do this. However, if you're going to live under our household, you're going to have to pay some rent. You're going to have to pay for your car insurance. And we kind of laid out all of the things that he's going to have to do. So we want him to learn to start understanding budgeting and getting a little higher level into that. We didn't want him to mooch for a year. And this is not a gap year, ladies and gentlemen. This is an experiential year. So we just started that 2 days ago. It's been very interesting. We started with some personality testing with my great friend, Brian Alexander, who is a pro at this stuff, and he guided us through. We have some roadmaps of how to work with each other and where we might get frustrated and where our working geniuses are and where we might hold each other up. And we're already kind of creating this system where he's going to like literally be inserted into my business, into my world. He's going to travel with me. He's going to go to my masterminds. We're going to the $1 Million Mastermind this weekend in Dallas. Shout out to Kevin Blue for bringing that to my attention. And then shout out to Jeff Smith's wife, Kristen, who's running a panel on there and really prompted me to go. And so we're going to do that this weekend. So I want you to start challenging yourself on what you think the right path for your kid is when they graduate from high school. I would challenge you to put away your ideals or your ideas of what you think they should be doing. If you've always had a college, you've always talked to them, you got to go here, you got to go here. Understand that that might not be the path for him. And I made a post on Facebook announcing this the other day and Instagram. And I've had hundreds of comments from people who are like, oh, I did college and it was the wrong thing. Or I waited 10 years before college. I wouldn't do it any other way. Or I went and did an internship and this is what I did. It's been phenomenal, the feedback. And I just want you to put away any preconceived ideas of what your kid is going to do. Put away your blueprint and be those bowling alley protective lanes that allow your kid to bounce around and figure out what it is. Keep them from, don't keep them from failure, keep them from massive failure, but you need them to struggle and fail and try, because that's not life. If we don't do that, we're not preparing them for real life. So I want you to put away your idea that they're going to go to Ohio State or they're going to go to Oregon State or they're going to go to Texas Tech or whatever it is. Put it away. That is harmful. You can have a dream yourself, but keep it to yourself and understand that not everybody's designed for the mainstream college. And quite frankly, my wife and I are $100,000 into schooling, and neither of us are working in those fields right now. Did we learn a lot? Heck yeah. Did we have great experiences? Yes. Would I take it back? No. But I do know that there is life outside of that avenue. So that's number one thing we're doing. So I encourage you to watch this unfold. There's going to be some tears. There's going to be some yelling. There's going to be some frustration. There's going to be some massive highs. And my goal is that in a year, Bryson has an idea, and maybe he even has a business by then, or he has an idea that business isn't for him. Whatever the case, there's going to be success at the end of this time. The second thing that we're doing is we're like, hey, man, what do you want for graduation? And he didn't really know. And I've always kind of wanted to do a rite of passage thing for him. And I haven't done that intentionally before. And so I said, well, what if you and I took a road trip? And he lit up. And so what we're doing is we got a rooftop camper or tent for my truck. And we're driving about 6,000 miles, I think, in like 2.5 weeks. And we're going to travel the United States. And we're going to experience, he's going to learn to build fires. He's going to learn to set up camp, tear down camp, cook from a fireplace, cook from a stove. He's going to learn how to drive my standard transmission truck. He's going to learn the things it takes to be self-sufficient, to work through hardships. We're going to see some amazing views. We're going to go to Crater Lake. We're going to be in some amazing spots in Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Montana. And the cool thing is, guess what, guys? We're ending up in Montana before we head back down south to Texas. And we're going to go visit all the places that we're going to be seeing and all the people we're going to be interacting with at the big event, September 2022. The very first Brotherhood of Fatherhood event, the big event, is in Montana, September 8th through 11th, 2022. We're going to go. We're going to preview all those. We're going to meet all the people. We have incredible people speaking. We have incredible people training us. We're going to get Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training. We're going to get tactical shooting training. We're going to do axe throwing. We're going to do a Memorial Day ruck. We're going to have an incredible guy. He's actually a whistleblower, well known for his role in stopping some human trafficking over the border, which is really exciting for me to kind of show you into the lives of these people. He's going to be there. He's going to lead the ruck. Jason Piccolo is his name. Rob Wolf, basically the father of paleo, but more importantly, he's built one of the fastest growing supplement or electrolyte drink brands right now, Element. He's going to talk to us about entrepreneurship, parenthood, all those really great things. Guys, this is going to be an absolutely crazy event. Bryson and I are going to go visit that. We're going to document the entire trip. So I'd encourage you to plug into this social media and watch this unfold. We're going to put at least one post out every day about something we've seen, something we've done. We're going to have this amazing rite of passage, extraordinary adventure together. There's going to be some challenges. It's going to cost us a boat and an arm and a leg and gas. We're going to come up with some, finding hard places or having difficulty finding places to stay. We're just going to do it. And we're going to take you along for the ride. So I want you to be sure you're kind of plugging in and watching all of this unfold. We're leaving mid-June. So if you're listening to this now, it might be over. You might want to go look back. If you're listening to this and it's close to mid-June or it is mid-June, plug in, check it out, because we're going to be living this out in front of you. My goal is to give my son the most memorable event in his life up to this date, and something he'll look back to forever. My goal is to introduce him to men along this trip who can feed into him and be there for him if I'm not living at that point. If something happens to me, he needs to have other men in his life that can feed into him. My goal is to just give him experience and something he can look back to for the rest of his life. And I'd love to pave the path and find a way to create something that other men can do as well. Maybe give you some inspiration, maybe give you the blueprint, whatever it is for you. We're going to shoot guns. We're going to hike. We're going to ruck. We're going to jump in really cold water. We're going to see the things we want to see. And I want to live this out in front of you guys. And hopefully I can get him on the podcast to come and talk to us all about this adventure and what it meant to him. And maybe help you understand your boys a little better as they're growing up and as they're moving into manhood like he is, what's going on in their brain. And so I want to live this out, and I want you to come along with me. So those are the exciting things. I did allude to the Montana trip. I want you all there. This is an investment, guys. It's absolutely an investment. It's a monetary investment and it's a time investment. And it's limited spots. We're going to make it a spectacular event. We're going to make it one of those memorable things you'll never forget. This is going to be the very first Brotherhood of Fatherhood get-together, and it's going to set the pace for everything else to come. And we're going to have local get-togethers. We're going to have yearly big get-togethers. I want you along on this adventure with me. My son's going to be there. You can talk to him. You can meet other men who are driven to find new challenges, who are driven for adventure, who are driven to connect with other men who think like them and strive and want to grow like them. Entrepreneurs, workers, servicemen, police officers, business owners, whatever it is, they're all coming. And I want you to be a part of this. I want you to be a part of something epic that's just going to grow like wildfire from here. So again, check that out. That's brotherhoodfatherhood.com. There's no oven there. So brotherhoodfatherhood.com. We'll drop you into the page that talks about our adventure. I think there's even a link to book a call and find out more about it. If there's not, I'll get one on there. But I want to encourage you to plug into all of the things we're doing, watch what we're doing, and use it for your own inspiration and growth. So that's what's going on, guys. I want to encourage you to really think about your mindset around your child's future and understand that their purpose in life, their identity in life may not be exactly what you have planned your entire life for them. I want you to rethink that and think about being those gutter guides in the bowling alley instead of a lane that's designed to only throw strikes, because that's a recipe for failure, for failed relationships, for disappointment. And so I want you to really rethink, really do a self-assessment of where you stand in what you think your child's going to do at point X, Y, and Z of their life, because you could be way off and you could be pointing them in the wrong direction. I know we all want what's best for our kids, and we got to be okay with giving them room to fail, to succeed, to try again, because that's what life is all about. Guys, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsors of this event coming up. By the way, when you hear these sponsors, also know that they're throwing in stuff for you. They're actually giving stuff for you. So you're gonna go away with this with stuff and amazing experiences. So we have American Farm Company. We have Dapper Guru, some awesome beard oils and soaps and cool stuff. They're a sponsor of mine. Bone Frog Coffee, the new Black Rifle Company, or what is Black Rifle Coffee store in Kalispell that is owned and operated by a local there, is giving us a bunch of coffee. We're gonna be caffeinated. Element, of course, that's Rob Wolf's company. SBG Montana, that's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym who's putting on our seminar. Epic gym. SOG Knives, Go Ruck Packs, A-Guard Insurance, and more. There's more. So super excited about this. We're building up an incredible itinerary. We're building up an incredible grab bag for you and experience for you. So check that out, brotherhoodfatherhood.com. Check out all of our sponsors. Thank you for listening. And I really want to challenge you. Build in systems so your kids have opportunities where they can fail and learn. Don't be the catch-all for everything, and don't have your own directed path for them. Be a guide. That's all. Don't be the GPS. Be the screen so they can see all the different options. All right. Thanks for listening. Have an amazing day.
Thank you for listening to the Brotherhood of Fatherhood podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to share it with your friends, your family, and follow us on social media. If you are a father, make sure you join our Facebook group, The Brotherhood of Fatherhood. Hit the subscribe button and tune in next time for more podcasts from the Brotherhood of Fatherhood.